Is the E46 the best project car you can buy? Behind me we have two E46s, one stock and one not. Although these cars look very different now, they both started out their life very similar. They were both automatics, although this one is a facelift and this one is a pre-facelift. As you can see, they both have angel eyes on the front, which is essential for any BMW owner. So when they're tailgating you on the motorway, you can tell it's a BMW and you should move out of the way. So let's have a look at the stock one first. There's a pre-facelift, but it's got a few sort of facelift touches. One example is the brake lights at the back, but it's got this nice blue with this M Sport interior in brown. Very nice. As we can see there, we'll have a little look around the back, shall we, before we go on to the modified example. As you can see, oh, steady on, ride height. Let's note that one in there. Not super high, not super low. When we go round to the other one, we'll have a little look. The only change made to this exhaust is the fact there's a valve in there which has been, well, clamped open, stuck open, so basically it remains open the whole time to make it slightly louder but still sort of an OEM finish, or OEM noise rather. Unlike that one, which I'll show you shortly. As I say, the facelift brake lights replacing the pre-facelift brake lights. One of the very few changes on this car, that and the interior are one of the, well, and the black grills. Right, following round, ignore this. So this is the modified one. As I said, facelift, one of the main differences, the split in the lights at the front, which you can tell if you look at that one over there. You can see the way the headlights are split into two separate pieces. On this one, they are not. We've got lovely OEM chrome grills on this one. It's probably one of the only OEM bits on it. But hey, as we go around, we've got the CSL Style Wheels with the floating centre caps. So they stay central, very cool. Very nice wheels, big fan of those. And as we go around, again, M Sport variant like that one. So we've got very similar. We've got the same mirror caps, the black tail lining and a few other things. If we go inside, if the car was unlocked, the car's unlocked, we'll go inside. We have the M3 black seats. We don't have M3 rear seats, but the owner tells me he does have them. They're just not installed. And we continue around now. I'll just keep showing you around the car. Again, we'll ignore this lack appeal here. We don't worry about that. So, right, what else we got? Okay, so we've got some tints. So a common modification a lot of people do to their cars, and it's been done to this one, is a sun strip on the front. And if we come to the back, we have 20% tints in the rear windows all round. Looks very nice. And coming around to the back, another very common modification on, well, any car, especially 3-litre 6-cylinders, is an exhaust. And this is a straight through 3-inch system, so it is loud. I'll overlay a clip now. Prepare your ears. Pretty quiet. You weren't recording that, were you? Now, one of the things to mention with old cars in general, project cars, they can be subject to rust in the UK, so be careful when you're looking to buy one. And let's not look at these arches here. But yeah, there's something to look out for with E46s and just project cars in general. And whilst we're in the arch, we'll look at the difference in the ride height. Cannot fit my hands in there, unlike in the other one. So very nicely tucked. Ow. So this car is sat on stance plus street coilovers, which is why it's got its ride height. I think it looks very good. With these wheels and the ride height, I think this car looks super aggressive and very nice. But one of the downsides of lowering your car, as this owner found out, is you can bend your front fender slightly, or wing, or whatever you want to call it. But hey, right next to another modification here, we have sequential indicators. I will show you how they look. And right, let's go inside to the driver's side. As I said, they both started off as automatics, but this one has 3 pedals, and that is a clutch. And if we have a look over here, that is a gear stick. So it's been manual swapped. Another modification on the interior is we have these colour match panels, which I think look very good. So it's matched the exterior colour. We have that all round throughout the interior, and I think it looks very nice. This car also has M3 door cards as well from the E46 M3, which look very good. And, well, the Harman Kardon speaker covers, but not actually the Harman Kardons. As I say, they both have the same engine, but this has a nice strut brace here and an induction kit from K&N, which looks and sounds very good. And is the number plate worth more than the car? You be the judge. And as you can see, this car has some show strobe lights, which he doesn't use whilst driving. Very good for the show element of things. Anyway, let's take him for a drive and see if it's better to keep it stock or not. Let's work out the costs, the reliability, just generally, is it a good idea to modify these cars or not? This is the stock 330, or very close to stock, bar a few little minor aesthetic details. As you might be able to hear, it doesn't have an exhaust, but it does sound pretty good. Oh, pothole. So let's talk how much this car costs, including everything done to it. So £3,200 for the car. Bear in mind that was about 2-3 years ago. The car was on 106,000 miles. The angel eyes on the front are about £70. The interior was £300, so that is the brown seats. The piano black trims, also in the interior, £120. Staying in the interior, £30 for the Alcantara boots around the gear selector and the handbrake. The LED fog lights are about £30. The rear lights, the facelift lights, they were from his last car, which was a facelift, but they're about £150 to £180 for a good condition pair. And the inner rear reflectors were £80 OEM, totaling up to £4,010. I've already done a full review on this car actually, so if you want to check it out, click up here. I'll plug the videos, that'll be up before this one. So if you want to watch a full review on this car where I go a bit more in depth, watch it there. But generally speaking, a stock 330 is a nice car. It's a nice place to be, it's decently quiet, it's decently comfortable, decent MPGs, generally very decent. But should you modify it, and what's it like when you do? Let me go drive the other one. If you're more interested in this one, watch my last video. So here I am in the modified 330, as you might be able to tell, because I'm going to be changing gear with my left hand, unlike in the other one. And you will be able to hear when I pull off. First impressions, everything's a lot more firm than the unmodified car. A lot more vibrations, but I think that'll be from the engine mounts, which have been upgraded, as well as all the poly bushes, because every single bushing has been replaced with a poly bush. Oh my lord, it is loud. And we pull out of this junction. Oh my lord. The gearbox makes the car feel completely different, like not even the same. I have to talk in between revving it. It doesn't even feel like the same car. Comparing the manual to the automatic, I mean, this has been manual swapped, obviously, so it's not a factory manual, but it feels good. It feels very firm. It feels like it's meant to be in there. Touch feels very good. Like I say, it feels like a factory manual would, to be honest with you. It doesn't feel like janky. I thought maybe the gearbox would feel, with no offense to the owner, I thought the gearbox might feel a bit disconnected or like it's not meant to be there. But if you didn't tell me this was manual swapped, I wouldn't think it was. That exhaust is so loud. And a lot of popping going on. Comparing the two, the stock to the modified, straight away the gearbox, it makes the car feel so much more alive. The throttle response is immediate. In the other car it's a lot more placid. You put your foot down, it sort of slowly kicks down and then slowly changes up. Obviously everything's in your control in this car because it's manual, and it just feels a lot more sporty. It's not too harsh either. I thought it might be quite crashy on suspension, but no, it feels good. You can feel the road. You know where the tyres are. Steering's a lot more responsive. It's sort of just brought this car to life a little bit. The one thing that I think is maybe a little bit too far, maybe the exhaust, but that's personal preference at the end of the day, and it hasn't stopped me smiling, so that's not a bad thing. The downsides of modifying your car this far, other than the fact you might get a headache or lose your hearing if you're going on, high speeds or high revs. You do lose a little bit of reliability when you take apart a car, put it back together, change the gearbox, but generally speaking these cars are quite reliable, and they do have a lot of parts that can chop and change between models, so there's a lot of parts available. A lot of people are breaking cars you can steal parts off of, so that is a positive. One of the other downsides would be the MPGs, because this car has some sort of ridiculous pops and bangs. That does eat up your fuel a little bit, but it's miles per gallon versus miles per gallon. Right, let's talk money. Being that we're talking about project cars and modifying cars, and this particular car is very modified, let's talk about how much he spent on the car. So it was £4,500 to buy the car. He says £600 in bushes, about £50 for reinforcement plate, about £1,300 for the manual swap including new clutch and miscellaneous bits, £400 for the materials for the exhaust, £350 for the coilovers, £70 on the strut brace, £400 on the induction kit, £80 on the HID conversion, wheels are about £560, M3 interior was £550, and the labour was free because he has some good friends. So that's always important when doing a project car, but as a project car you do the work yourself, so if he can do all of that with himself and friends, I think that says a lot about the car. Including a few miscellaneous bits like the floating centre caps and the angel eyes and things like that, it's around £9,000 all in, including buying the car. For a manual 330 that looks like this, not so bad in my opinion. The owner has done so much to this car. I don't think there's anything on this car that hasn't been touched, from the interior to the exterior. If that's not the sign of a good project car, I don't know what is. And I think this car looks sensational. I think this looks really, really good. With the wheels, with the way it sits on the road, the stance, its road presence, I think it looks and sounds really good. Like I say, it's a little bit loud. Reporting live, we have a coolant hose that is split on the top of the engine. So when you try and film a video with two E46s, the chances have it that one of them will have a cooling issue. Well, we're about to do some rolling shots, and being an E46, it's had a bit of a moment with some coolant. And this is split. What was I saying about the cooling issues? Lucky you've got a 5 litre water bottle on tap. Do I think it's better to keep an E46 stock or not? Well, I would say, personally for me, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think this is really good, but I do like the comfortable side of the other one. So I think somewhere in the middle. I would definitely go for the manual. I think that's one of the best modifications in this car. That and the wheels are my two favourite things in this car. I think they change the car so much. The wheels make it look so much sportier, and the gearbox completely changes the way it feels. So for me, those are two essentials. But generally speaking, I'd probably go somewhere in the middle, more on the modified side of things, and maybe not to the extreme with the straight through exhaust. But I do think it's a car you should definitely consider if you're looking at a project car. And maybe Miata isn't always the answer. For me, I'm a bit biased because I've had two MX-5s, but I think if you're into German cars or you just want something maybe slightly different, consider one of these. That exhaust is so loud. What was the point of them?
Now.
No.
Not now.
Not now, not now. One 330 CI facelift, no, pre-facelift. Let's bring it back in. Let's bring it back in. It's so cold. We'll think when we'll do this in summer, it'll be actually fun. Is this legal? How's that? Huh? You're laughing at me.